David DACUS. I met this guy yesterday. He popped into Chipsa. You were here. When was the last time you were here?
I was here in October. When I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed as stage 4 prostate cancer. My prostate was completely involved, greatly enlarged.
Stage 4, guys.
Stage
Hear
4,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
Two bone metastases.
You're supposed to be. You're no hope. You're no. This is bad, right?
Yeah, that's what my urologist told me. Those were the exact words that he used. In fact, this is very, very bad.
Real inspiring message.
Real inspiring. Yeah. That's why I'm dumping that guy. Today's scans said that my prostate is completely cancer-free, normal size.
Wait, did you just say though that the CAT scan showed your prostate was normal and there's no cancer?
Yes, a normal prostate at 62 for anybody is pretty phenomenal, but for somebody who had a prostate completely involved with cancer, Gleason 10. If anybody knows what that means, that's as bad as it gets. That's the worst.
Well, how do you feel now?
I am absolutely elated.
Yeah!
And all my friends here, my new friends, yes. So
we're elated with you, man.
You're bad.
Love you guys very much. Y'all are just awesome.
Take care, David.
Right. Thank you. My cancer journey began with difficulty urinating, and I thought I could tough it out. After a week or so of that, I went to my doctor and he ran some tests. I thought I just had a urinary tract infection. He ran some tests and said, no, that's not it. He sent me to a urologist. The urologist did the rectal exam and he told me that it was probably cancer. He said my prostate was greatly enlarged and that there was a pronounced tumor on the side. That was, my actual diagnosis came on August 21st of this year, of 2017. Well, of last year. When he got the results back, he looked at it. He had the scans, he had the biopsy results. He said, this is very bad. Oh, this is very, very bad. Of course, my heart dropped. I'm a big, tough guy, but he terrified me. And those words stuck. And negative words tend to stick. And positive words bounce off a lot of times, so we have to be very cautious about what we allow into our minds. But he said, this is very bad. He said, you're stage 4, it's metastasized to your bones in 2 places, and then he read down, he said, oh, this is worse, it's another place too. And he was actually reading my results for the first time as he was in the room with me. And he said, you need to take the hormone shot. We can slow it down, but this can't be cured. I'm in the IV drip room, IPT room for outpatients. This is CK3, vitamin C and K3 in a saline solution. And while I've been here outpatient, I've gotten a dose of this every day. It's a very powerful vitamin mix that is very effective at softening and damaging the tumors, and makes them burn very frequently, as you know, Matthew. And it can cause some discomfort, but it is a minor miracle in this treatment protocol. It just works symbiotically with so many other things. God doesn't whisper in my ear. I'm not gonna pretend that happens, but impressed very clearly on my heart that I was to start a fast, detox. That word just was paramount in my mind. So I said, okay, how long? And he said, till I tell you to quit. So I actually went on a water fast for 2 weeks, and I was completing that when I went back to my doctor. Started on the Gerson protocol as close as I could find it. I'd done lots and lots of research during that period of time, had already pretty much determined I was going to Chipsa based on the fact that A lot of these treatments are being done in various places around the world. There are treatments that Chipsa does that nobody else does. And they have an integrated oncological protocol that it captures all of those things, it integrates them together, and it was just for me. Lovely Lillian here is put a needle in my arm. She took out some blood, quite a bit of blood. How much, Lillian? How much
60.
is that? 60 cc's
Yes.
of blood. And she mixed it in a saline bag with ozone. She runs it through a machine over here that kind of swirls the blood together, and it's ultraviolet, is that correct?
Yes.
Ultraviolet light to activate the oxygen. And the purpose of that is to oxygenate our blood, because oxygen is anathema to cancer. Yes, last little bit coming in. The doctors and the nurses here are, I guess the first thing I would say is they're loving. They're kind. They approach your healing process with humility. They're not haughty. They involve you in the healing process. They ask you what you think, what's working for you, and it's amazing. It is so much different than any experience I've had with the medical staff. I mean, they typically are pretty quick to dismiss you if you have too many questions. They're pretty quick to dismiss you if you don't necessarily agree with them. I know that my urologist looked at me like I had two heads when I told him I was going to take an alternative cancer treatment approach, and he just said, well, it's your life, and kind of dismissed me. Yeah. And no one here has ever dismissed me. Any questions that I have, the nurses, and the nurses, they hug you here too, and that's pretty lovely. Yeah. My PSA level, which is a cancer marker, PSA is prostate specific antigen, for a normal healthy man should be 2.5, maybe up to 4 or so. Mine was 98. 98 was the number. It was off the charts high. When I got to Chipsa, the first day I got here, the first thing they did on a Friday was take my blood, and they got the results early in the morning, got the results back that afternoon. The doctor came in and she said, what did you say your PSA was? And I said it was 98. She said, well, that's what it shows on your records. She said, I just want to make sure. I said, well, what is my PSA now? Just fearing that it had gone even higher. She said, it's 3.75. And I said, what? She said, it's so low that I think we better do another test in case they made a mistake. And so I had to wait through the weekend thinking, okay, they made a mistake, and it was as much my doing as hers, because I couldn't believe it either. And I was just, I was in disbelief. So they ran the test again on Monday morning, got the results back Tuesday morning, and of course, as your mind will do, I feared the worst. And she came in smiling, and I said, what's my PSA? And she said, it's 2.74. She said, the doctors are blown away. She said, what did you do? And I told her the story of what I had done.
What was your answer when she said, what have you done?
I told her my story, and I did a lot of other things too. I tried to follow the biblical protocol. I went to my church, I went to my elders, I asked them to pray over me, I asked the church to pray over me. I put it out on Facebook. As soon as I got my family told, which was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, they had suffered a lot of losses in the previous few years, the same losses that, in my opinion, led to my cancer. And 2012, my son was killed in a gun accident. 1 year, 1 day later, we thought we were beginning to recover some from that. Our family was devastated. We were driving to a family funeral, and a truck ran us off the road. My wife and both of her parents were killed instantly. My back was broken, my leg was destroyed, my neck was hurt bad. I was in pretty bad shape. It took me a while to get back to walking, and I was very determined, and I recovered from that physically. During that interim time, however, there were huge financial problems. There were huge medical bills. The trucking company would not take responsibility. So my business closed. I couldn't run my business anymore. So I had that loss, a loss of income, loss of a job, loss of purpose. A few days after my wife was killed, my youngest daughter found out she was pregnant. And she had, 9 months later, a beautiful little baby girl, and she was our new hope. Little Violet Marie Bell Rios. And 1 month after she was born, my daughter called me early in the morning and said, Dad, the baby's not breathing. Can you come over? The ambulance is here. And the baby died of SIDS in her sleep. That was the worst devastation that any family could go through. It was like God had pulled the rug out from under us. We were destroyed. A few months after that, well, actually a month after that, I got very, very ill. I had a ruptured bowel, one of the complications from my car wreck. And I very, very nearly died from that. There's not a reason I should have survived the car wreck. There's not really much reason I should have survived the bowel rupture. I was in the hospital for a couple weeks, and then once I began to recover from that, it took me months and months and months of just working and trying to get my health back. Lost a cousin who was like a brother. Through all of this, I had to be the strong one. I had to be the family leader. I had to be the one to comfort everyone else. And I thought I was handling things very, very well. I thought I had my words with God. I had my bouts of wavering faith. I had my screaming fits with God. But I always came back to the center. I always came back to my faith. God was big enough to handle all these things. But I wasn't. I thought I was. I thought just internalizing them, ignoring them, whatever, was healthy. I thought that was the best thing to do for me and my family. Just keep on trudging, keep on trooping. And it turns out that was the very, very worst thing to do. I was internalizing all this pain, all these emotions, all this hurt. And I have no doubt in my life, because I lived a fairly healthy lifestyle, I have no doubt that my cancer was the result of my emotional toxification. And the emotional detoxification that I've undergone has changed my life. Home sweet home. This is Oceana 21.
The name of the apartments? Is that the address or the name of the apartments?
I think it's both.
First time I think anyone's ever videoed me shaving. Life is full of new adventures.
Chipsa Hospital was a surprise to me. In all of my research that I had done, I was absolutely not going to do chemotherapy or radiation. And I was blessed that I had metastases, and I didn't do the very first thing that most men do and go get my prostate removed, surgically removed, a prostatectomy. That was off the table. So I did all this research. I watched the videos of Chris Wark and of Ty Bollinger, the Truth About Cancer series. And it was eye-opening. And as I began to learn these things, Chipsa became more and more on my radar. Chipsa to me is not a last resort. Chipsa was my very first choice. Now, it's not everyone's option to make it your first choice, but you can still make it your choice, and it can save your life. Chipsa, I think the ideal Chipsa patient is going to be, I think I'm the ideal Chipsa patient. When I came to Chipsa, I came with a positive attitude. I completely threw myself into their care, and I said, I will not do anything that they don't recommend I do, and I will do everything that they do recommend I do. So I came with that mindset. I came with a positive mindset that I was going to be healed. I think the ideal Chipsa patient is going to come with that positive mindset. Whether you have advanced cancer, whether you've been taking treatment for years, you're going to come here, you're going to get your immune system built up. You're going to get your nutritional protocol in shape. Your body can rebuild itself if you quit sabotaging it and if you give it the tools that it needs to do so. It can't if you continue to sabotage it. And without casting any disparity on anything that anybody else has chosen to do, if you're doing full-fledged chemo, there's a very good chance that you're destroying your immune system. If you're doing full-fledged radiation, there's a very good chance that you are destroying your body's ability to rejuvenate. There is a place for those treatments in cancer treatment, but you can greatly enhance the effectiveness of those treatments, the long-term success of those treatments, by dealing with your emotional problems, with your nutritional problems, with your immune problems, and not destroying your own immune system.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Check. We are inventorying the take-home medication. They're very conscientious to check off every item before they load it in the suitcase for you to take home. And so once you get there, you've signed for everything that you have. There's no questions about it. When I get home to Texas, I'll be administering all of the take-home treatments myself.
Wow, that's have you done that already? Do you have experience doing that?
I do have experience administering the treatments. I did it for the first 3 months. It's a little bit daunting when you first get started, but once you get in the swing of things, it's you get into a routine and it all goes very, very smoothly. So now it is January 2018, and I am back in Plias, back at Chipsa for my 3-month follow-up, my Valavax booster. I decided to make Chipsa my primary cancer care facility. They are my doctors. Secondary follow-up at anything I need at home, I have my family doctor to help me out with that. So I returned to Chipsa in January for my 3-month follow-up, and I decided to just have my scans done out here, my blood work done out here. So it had been 3 months without any positive affirmation. During that time, it becomes a little difficult to self-talk yourself that you're getting better, especially when you're taking these therapies and they make you feel bad. You know, they make you shaky, they make you weak. I've lost some weight. And I had a little pain in my back. You know, I'd strained it and some other things, but you know, you still, as a cancer patient, you jump to conclusions, and it's real easy to let fear come in. So I was a little trepidatious when I got here. Got my scans, got my results back. I was waiting on pins and needles, I think as anyone would do. I don't think that's unusual. Hoping against hope that I could share with my family good news. That was paramount to me. I had already talked to God, and I had told God on more than one occasion when I should have died, it's okay for me to die, God, but please give my family a break. Leave me around for them. And so, you know, got a pretty good relationship with the man upstairs, and he heard those prayers. Got my results back, and my scans indicated that my prostate is completely normal size. There's no indication of tumors. There's no indication that the cancer is still active. I've taken the responsibility, and I'm visualizing myself not as a 1-year survivor, not as a 2-year survivor. I am seeing myself living to be an old man. This gray hair is going to fall out, and I'm going to be holding hands with a pretty redhead for the rest of my life. So this is, you're worth it. You're worth it. Living is worth it.
So will you be coming back for a checkup anytime?
In 3 months, I come back for my Valavax booster scans, basically a repeat performance of what I did this trip. And again, we'll determine what level of care, ongoing care I need from there. Hopefully none. The temptation's out there for all of us to wither up and die when horrible things happen to us. And they don't have to be a death. It could be a loss of a job. It could be the loss of true love. There are so many bad things that happen in this life. They don't have to be the end of us. There is always, always, always hope. God is standing by, just waiting to bless you. All you have to do is tap in. Just tap into God's love, tap into God's power, tap into your own ability to heal your own mind, to heal your own emotions, to heal your own life. There is hope, my friends.
That's awesome. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. I am very excited to have gotten to spend a little time with you, David, and I've been documenting my journey, and it's so interesting how we've come to so many of the same conclusions. And friends, I just got to tell you, man, the more that you do, like David is talking about, tapping into this thing, the flow of the goodness of God, it's like you just start finding these people come out of the woodwork.
Absolutely, yes.
To affirm and to confirm that you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. And I believe, many people watching this are probably going to end up watching it because of that.
I hope
and
so,
and
yes.
that we're just another witness to that truth.
God has put me through all of these things for one purpose. And that purpose is to encourage other people. I didn't want to get cancer, but if you've got to get cancer, this is the way to do it. Smile, laugh, enjoy life, and see yourself as old and feeble. Maybe old and healthy, and then get old and feeble. Like my dad said, I want to linger and linger and linger and linger, and then I want to get well.
As crazy as it sounds, and as you can see from my testimony going back when I videoed this from the beginning, that I call it this gift called cancer.
Absolutely.
Because it's been a gift for me, and it's not, I don't say that like, in a whimsical way. I mean it in a very real way, friends. And
this has changed my life in the most positive way that my life has ever been changed.
It's amazing.
It's not easy, but it is a gift. God gifted me with this disease so he could save my life.
Isn't that crazy? You hear this and you're like, what, dude? Are you nuts? How could you say that? And then you actually spend some time with this guy, you hear his testimony, you realize where he's been and what he's come through, and you're like, dang, he's on to something.